Yeah, thank you, and yeah, welcome to this talk. Thanks for staying here. I mean, at this late hour, the room empties a bit, but I think this talk fits actually pretty well to this quantum impact stage, and therefore, I hope you get some nice insights. Before starting with like the stuff of my talk on technology assessment of quantum technology, sovereignty, security, and access, let me ask you three questions, or rather quotes. And I hear pretty often. So who in the room thinks we are, so Germany and Europe, are doing better with the development of quantum technologies than we did with AI? Just briefly. A few? Okay, some say that. Okay, who would say, because that what I hear sometimes, especially with like people from the more economic sector, we should focus on the development of quantum technologies now, rather than on its impact. Who would agree with that? All right, so I feel I have a home game here, so everyone is on my side already. Then let me put the last one. Quantum technologies could present great opportunities as well as risks to security and sovereignty. I mean, this is, yeah, I expected that. And what I want to tell you now is that a technology assessment can help to uncover and enhance the opportunities while also resolving the risks. So have an overlap of all that, and that is actually more or less my work. So who am I? I'm Adrian. I'm a physicist by training, quantum computing focus, did some education research, and now I'm at KIT in Karlsruhe at the ETHAS. We actually have an institute also in Berlin, so for me this conference is one of the best ones to get here by bike. But yeah. Who are we? This Institute for Technology Assessment and Systems Analysis is led by Armin Grunwald. I don't know who is familiar with him. He's like he was on the ethics board. And we're 150 researchers looking on the impact of technology. And in my group of Christopher Kühnen, Zeki, and me, both physicists, look on quantum technologies. And we have a lot of focus, which is on landscaping, education, military applications. That's also why I'm going to stay on this stage for the panel as well, art, science, and different aspects. But what actually is technology assessment? I'm not sure who is actually familiar with this term. It's Technikfolgenabschätzung in German. I have one slide on this, what it is. So what we do is, this is a picture about what quantum is today by Copilot. What we do is we try to anticipate a bit what might happen in the future. Another AI-generated picture. Always interesting to see how quantum futures looks for AI tools. And then looking back, we think about possible impacts. So we think about risks, but also opportunities. And that is for me, if you leave this room and afterwards you have in your head that technology assessment is not just about risks, but it's also about opportunities of technology, then I already won something. So we do this circle over and over and think about, okay, what might be impacts on society, on education, and on different aspects. And what one noticed then is actually that this Copilot-generated quantum future is maybe not the final one, that there may be some other pictures from the future in this. So that we talk about futures, different possible ways, and then we do this circle again, and together with like experts from the field, we try to figure out what might be a desirable future, which is societally acceptable, which has like less ethical concerns, etc., and together find out how we might end up in some other future we want to be in. And that is like the main goal, but still quite abstract. So let's get a bit more concrete to technology assessment of quantum technologies. And one project we are doing, it's for the TAP, it's the technology assessment of the German Bundestag. This is actually like attached to an Ausschuss. I don't know what the English word for this is, but there we do assess the military use of quantum technologies. Together they can support this TAP and write a report on it. And this is, in this case, a 3-stage phase, ends early 2026. So we give, together with external experts, give us a technology overview. They look on implications for peace and security, and this will feed into a final report, which will be reported to the members of parliament, and then they can hopefully make some decisions which are in favor of the values of Germany or even Europe. So this is like a normal process, a normal part of our work, and due to the fact this is going to be published early 2026, I can't really talk about details here and therefore focus on another report we just finished. So under this topic of technology assessment of quantum technologies, sovereignty, security, and access, I'm going to give you some insights into a project which we did until May 2025, and yesterday I got the okay from the ministry that this will be published, so that within the next 2 weeks you can find this online and can have a look what we find out. And now I give you a glimpse into it. Who is interested in the report, also just talk later to me or send me an email, and then I will send it to you. What we did is we looked on the literature on this, so who did this before? We did interviews and surveys with experts. And I mean, everyone says we did interviews with experts. We actually got experts which are here, which are well known in Germany and in Europe, and therefore I'm very convinced that this knowledge in this report is quite on a high level. I'm very satisfied on this. The survey is also, I think, pretty good, plus a workshop on the visions in this field, and all this is condensed in the report. And as I said, this will be published soon. First insight, this was one of the first studies on technology assessment for quantum technologies. When you look on the scientific publications, which are TA-like, so this is everything which has something to do with responsibility or impact, etc. You see something, I mean, this is probably after Sycamore and Google, that people worked on this, and you see some increase. The numbers are from 2024, therefore it's not super actual here. The gray literature has some slower slope. This is policy documents, etc. But this is quite new in this field, and we inquired different topics. These are, I just go through the list. Okay, who did this before? What is the impact of quantum computing on IT security? Sustainability questions, security implications of quantum sensing, consequences of unequal access to quantum technologies and computing, societal implications, discourse about quantum technologies, so public discourse, unintended side effects, and we included also others, so philosophical questions, educational questions, science communication questions. And these are the topics we asked in the interviews to the experts and condensed them in this report. And I'm now going to pick a few of the results to show to you what we think is important to discuss and to work on. And the first one on security and dual use aspects, it's especially on impact of quantum computing on IT security and quantum sensing. The first slide is more an underlining of what you already heard today, I feel. So therefore, I'm going to make it quick. We have quantum computing evolving rapidly. Everyone says, okay, estimates 2030s. Some say, okay, all roadmaps are met. Acceleration is possible, so we need to see the speed in there. And therefore, there are a lot of let's more say negative impacts. So short, store now, decrypt later, everything you heard today is a threat for critical infrastructure. And the European Union still is fragmented in implementing certain solutions to that. Why PQC implementation, post-quantum crypto, is necessary as soon as possible, and especially small and medium enterprises need more awareness. And this is pretty much in line with what the panel before said, and therefore I think I can stop here. But all this needs to be European-wide integrated. Maybe different for you now, at least in this conference, is when you look on quantum sensors. And there we have a threefold of results. First one is Germany and Europe is quite great in quantum sensor development. Okay, this sounds nice first. Then Germany, Europe does not develop certain parts strategically. So there are certain things like time networks, which are not strategically developed or at least secured. This is one result, and there's a wide range of military applications. What does that mean? There are also a lot of things we are not sure if we want that or if that is good for us, or others are developing things which we might maybe not like. So we need to think about this. More concrete, this quite great development in the sensing wants to be bought or copied by others. So there's some strategic, or experts see some strategic buying of European companies in the quantum sensing area, which might be a threat. There might be some dependence on non-European actors in certain technologies, especially like the time networks, some experts said. And on the wide range, there's some dystopian scenarios possible. This is like also a hypothesis a bit, but like when the sensing gets better and better and better, there might be some things we don't want as societies. And therefore, the experts said, okay, we need some EU harmonized export control, although not everyone wants export control. If there are some certain parts able to be used for military, we need to think about export controls, and they need to be harmonized within the EU. We need some strategic investment and protection of certain technologies and companies, which needs to be secured by like getting bought by other actors. And we need more military technology assessment, not just our project, others as well, to foresee a bit which scenarios are possible, to maybe be able to do something like arms control, or at least try to regulate globally what we don't want. Because otherwise everyone is just doing what like they think is best, and then we just end up maybe somewhere where we don't want to end up. And this is on the security side. Now I want to go a bit away from that, because we talked also today a lot about security. Talk a bit more about sovereignty and access. And I feel last year at Bitkom, I don't know who was there, we talked a bit more about it. Now I want to bring it in, the so-called quantum divide. And I don't know who is familiar with it. I just brought one slide, what the quantum divide is, or how is it defined. When you look on this map by Curica, on the global efforts, they say roughly 55 billions are invested into quantum technologies by the public. Sounds great. The map looks awesome, but when you look who does it, there are like 3 world regions, okay? US and Canada, European countries, and China. And when you then look how high is the share of these countries, this is like roughly 3/4 of the public investments. So certain regions invest heavily, certain like just a bit or not at all. Now one could sit here and say, okay, why is that a problem? Why is that a problem? We do it, others not. One thing the expert said is this might give geopolitical advantages to certain regions. So when you think about Silk Road Initiative, for example, dependency of certain regions on hardware and other technology of other actors like China in this example, this might also be extended to quantum technologies. So we talked a lot about security, and we need to secure our communication. Other countries want this as well. They're going to buy it or get it from somewhere else. And this might be used for geopolitical advantages by other actors. And therefore, Germany and Europe needs more collaboration. It's always an easy way to say it, but we need to like really strategically think about what we want there. And now to another point, I bombarded you maybe with like insights from it, but like this one for me is one of the main ones. It's a dependence on non-European actors, especially for quantum computing. And while talking about global quantum divide, so global north versus global south, whatever, some maybe forget that there's also some dependence of Europe on actors from outside Europe, which in the moment of the quantum advantage might give us a risk. Because right now, we all cooperate, we use IBM machines or whatever. What happens when the quantum advantage really is there? Do we have the current state of technology in that moment? Do we have access to the most modern technologies in that moment? And are our companies having then the possibility to actually be able to implement their algorithms on the most actual machine? So that is something we really need to think about, why certain things like strategic funding and European integration definitely is important, while securing IP for when you use outside European machines, and of course having like contracts with everything which is not European in that regard. So a quantum divide maybe also affects Europe. And now to something I find personally very important. there's also a local quantum divide in our literature. What does it mean? It means that the access to the technology is also within society fragmented. And that is maybe normal. Certain people here in the room know what quantum is, and people on the street don't know what it is and have never heard about it, maybe. But there are certain problems with this, because in the moment quantum computing gets even bigger and really implemented, there might be some backlash when like a big bunch of society needs to get a picture about what is actually happening. And just think about gene technology or nanotechnology, all this like more negative pictures in that moment that might give some backlash, but also talent shortage, unequal access, and all these kind of aspects are connected to it. And therefore, also quite an easy one, but information education. I just put it there, but it's really important that we get the people involved, informed, with realistic pictures what is actually happening. So this quantum divide is definitely something we need to think about. And now I have 4 minutes left. I have 2 things more. I'm going to do a bit quicker. It's the sustainability aspects. We talked about it yesterday, and unintended side effects. On the sustainability side, it's a bit like there are 2 pictures. Almost everyone expects efficiency gains due to quantum technologies, and especially quantum computing. What gives a bit the fear that environmental aspects become a bit irrelevant, or people say, oh, let's not talk so much about it, because like, it's going to solve us, like energy problems or so. At the same time, people say, okay, energy consumption is still unclear of these machines, so environmental aspects might become an afterthought. So we just develop it and then afterwards think about what they use. While also it's still a bit unclear which resources we need for the hardware of the quantum computers. So we might get some resource dependencies in Europe and in Germany. But you see already here, still unclear, we are not really sure. So some result was here really, we need more systematic investigation of technical aspects, path dependencies, energy consumption of operations, energy savings, and applications. So this needs actually more research. And on the unintended side effects, I actually gonna click through. If someone has more questions, I want to give some time. It's a bit about, okay, there are some things we already talked about, resource consumption, dual use risks, so there might be some unintended consequences, but there's also some inherent unpredictability of unintended side effects. So some people fear some overregulation, so that we do too much right now, while having co-evolution with other technologies, so we might like accelerate other technologies, while other technologies might accelerate also the quantum technologies. So here we definitely need continuous monitoring, so we can, which means all in the room, but also policymakers and others can actually make decisions quite agile in this moment. And with this, I want to just give you some overview. We need definitely some PQC implementation as soon as possible, as best European coordinated. The security aspects of quantum sensors need to be addressed. So all that, what I said before, the quantum divide is definitely strategically relevant, not just like something which is nice to have to think about it. Sustainability aspects need to be further investigated, and we definitely need to continuously investigate the developments of quantum technologies. So I would say technology assessment is important and delivers some results which are helpful for you and for others. And I hope I could convince you at least a bit about it. So give me an email if you want to know more about the report. And with this, I thank you for hearing me. Thanks.